The cafe was alive with the usual morning rush, sunlight pouring through the wide glass windows, spoons clinking against mugs, laughter mixing with the hiss of steaming milk. Outside, the street buzzed with delivery vans and people heading to work. Inside, Maya was moving fast between tables, refilling cups, forcing a polite smile even when her hands ached from carrying trays. To most people, she was just another face in an apron, but behind that smile lived a quiet exhaustion. She was saving every dollar for her mother's medical bills, barely sleeping, skipping lunches, and somehow still greeting every customer with warmth. That morning should have been like every other, until she noticed him again. The same man who had come 3 times that week, always sitting near the window, pretending to read a newspaper that never turned a page. His coffee would go cold, untouched. His eyes, however, never rested anywhere except on her. At first she told herself it was coincidence. Some customers are just awkward. But then, he started timing his visits. He would show up exactly when her shift began, leave only after she did, sometimes trailing her to the bus stop, pretending to take calls, but always a few steps behind. She had tried to ignore it, to convince herself she was imagining things. But that morning, as she turned with a tray full of dishes, she caught his reflection in the chrome of the counter, and he was smiling directly at her. A slow, knowing smile. Her chest tightened. She felt that familiar pulse of fear rise through her throat. Still, she kept working, acting normal, until she heard the low rumble of engines outside. 3 bikers parked their heavy motorcycles near the entrance, helmets gleaming in the sunlight. The noise made every head in the cafe turn. People whispered. Bikers were not common in that quiet town. Their leather jackets and rough presence drew stares, but Maya only saw one thing: a chance, a distraction. The tallest among them, maybe in his late 40s, with a calm face and tired eyes, walked in first. He looked around, scanning the place not like a thug, but like someone reading a room before he spoke. His companions followed, talking casually, their laughter loud but not hostile. They took a table near the counter, joking about the ride. Maya steadied herself, smoothed her apron, and walked toward them with menus. "Good morning," she said, her voice trembling just enough that the older biker noticed. He looked up, surprised by the nervous tone. Before she could continue, the man at the window stood up. Slowly, deliberately, he placed a few coins on the table and started walking toward her. Every muscle in her body tensed. The tray nearly slipped from her hand. He stopped just behind her shoulder, pretending to check the pastry display, but she could feel his breath near her neck. In that instant, she did something she never thought she would. She leaned slightly toward the biker's table and whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Please, he will not stop following me." The words hit like thunder inside the man's chest. The older biker blinked, processing what he had just heard. His companions went silent. He did not speak. He just nodded once, slow and firm. That tiny movement told her she was safe, at least for now. The man behind her finally stepped back and walked toward the door. For a brief moment, she thought he was leaving. Relief washed through her. But instead, he stopped at the entrance, looked back, and smiled. A warning, not a goodbye. The biker's eyes followed him. The air in the cafe shifted. From that moment, nothing about that morning was ordinary anymore. As the stalker vanished down the street, Maya stood frozen, unsure whether to thank the biker or burst into tears. She turned away, pretending to pour coffee, pretending she had not just risked everything by asking a stranger for help. But the biker noticed her trembling hands. He watched the door, then looked back at her and said quietly, "Stay near the counter." She did not argue. Minutes later, one of the biker's companions left casually, as though going for a smoke. Outside, his reflection in the window followed the man's direction down the block. Inside, time slowed. The cafe's chatter returned, but Maya could no longer hear it. Every second felt longer than the last. Imagine standing there, wiping the same cup again and again, while your mind plays every possible ending, none of them good. That was Maya's reality. The biker finished his coffee, but did not leave. He kept glancing toward the street, his fingers tapping the table. He had seen fear before, the kind of fear people carry silently until it breaks them. And now, he saw that same fear in her. When his friend returned, he gave a small nod. Something had been confirmed. The biker looked at Maya and said softly, "He is still outside." Her heart dropped. The man had crossed the street, standing by a parked car, pretending to be on his phone again. Watching. Always watching. The biker's calm voice turned serious. You have a manager here? She shook her head. The owner was out for deliveries. It was just her and the cook in the back. He sighed, leaned back in his chair, and folded his arms. All right. Then until he leaves, we will stay. For the first time that day, she felt a trace of safety. It was strange, being protected by strangers whose looks alone made others afraid. Still, the fear would not go away. Her mind raced. What if he followed her again after her shift? What if he knew where she lived? She wanted to cry, but she forced herself to stay composed. The biker watched her, thoughtful. He did not ask questions. He simply waited, as if giving her time to find her courage. Outside, the man paced, checked his phone, and glanced at the window again. His eyes met the biker's, and this time, he looked away first. The shift was far from over, but Maya's world had already changed. The clock ticked past noon, but Maya barely noticed. The cafe's chatter blurred into background noise as the fear pressed down on her chest like a heavy stone. She kept glancing through the glass, pretending to clean, pretending not to see the man still standing there. But every time she looked up, his reflection was waiting. The biker, whose name she still did not know, sat calmly at his table. His friends had finished their food, but none of them moved to leave. Every so often, one of them would step outside, walk down the street, and return a few minutes later. Their silence said everything. They were watching him. Maya could feel her throat tighten as the weight of it all hit her. This had been going on for weeks. The same man, the same pattern. Following her home, waiting by the bus stop. She had tried reporting it once, but by the time the police arrived, he had vanished. They told her to stay aware. That was it. Stay aware. As if awareness alone could stop fear. Now, for the first time, someone was actually doing something, even if they were strangers in leather jackets. After a while, the older biker stood up and walked to the counter. His voice was steady but quiet. You have a break soon? Maya nodded nervously. 15 minutes. He placed a few bills on the counter, far more than the cost of their food. When you do, sit with us. You will not be alone. Something about the way he said it, calm, direct, protective, made her exhale for the first time in hours. She nodded, whispering a soft thank you. When her break finally came, she joined them at the table. The smell of engine oil and leather surrounded her, oddly comforting. The biker smiled slightly. You did the right thing. She shook her head. I just did not know what else to do. He looked out the window, his eyes following the man across the street. You are not the first person he has scared, I would bet. Maya frowned. You know him? The biker's jaw tightened. No, but I know his type. He leaned back in his chair, watching the stalker's every move. People like him count on fear. They count on no one paying attention. That is how they win. Outside, the man started pacing again, pretending to be busy on his phone. Every now and then, he would glance toward the cafe, but the moment his eyes met the biker's table, he looked away. Maya followed his gaze and whispered, He has been doing this for weeks, waiting for me after shifts. Sometimes I see his car outside my apartment. I told the police, but they did nothing. The biker finished for her. She nodded, tears threatening to spill. Yes, they said there was no proof. He studied her face for a long moment, then said, Then we will get proof. Before she could ask what he meant, his friend, the one with a scar across his eyebrow, slid his phone across the table. The screen showed a video, recording live from the cafe's window. The man was pacing, looking inside, his behavior impossible to misinterpret. We got him, the friend said quietly. Let us see how long he wants to play this game. The older biker's lips curved slightly, not into a grin, but into something closer to quiet determination. Good. Let us teach him that people are not prey. Maya felt her heart race, but not from fear this time, from something closer to hope. As minutes passed, the man outside seemed to grow restless. He kept glancing around, noticing the biker's attention. Finally, he crossed the street and stepped back into the cafe. The bell above the door jingled, light but sharp. The whole place went silent. Even the cook peeked out from the kitchen. The man approached the counter as if nothing had happened. Another coffee, he said, pretending not to see Maya's trembling hands. But the biker saw everything. The older one stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. He walked to the counter, stopping just behind Maya. He was not tall enough to look intimidating on purpose, but something about the way he stood, calm, controlled, unafraid, made the air tighten. "Why do you keep coming here?" he asked, his voice even, not loud. The man laughed awkwardly. "Excuse me? I am a customer." The biker tilted his head. "A customer who does not drink his coffee, who spends hours staring at the waitress, who follows her home." A few customers nearby turned their heads. The stalker's fake smile faltered. "You have no idea what you are talking about." The biker's hand rested lightly on the counter, his eyes locked on him. "Maybe, but the camera does." The man blinked. "Camera?" The friend at the table lifted his phone slightly, showing the live recording. The biker nodded toward it. "You are on video. Every second of it. Every stare, every step." The cafe was silent now. All eyes were on the man. The power he once had over Maya crumbled in an instant, replaced by embarrassment, by exposure. He took a step back, his face reddening. "You cannot threaten me." The biker did not move. No threat, just truth. For a long moment, no one breathed. Then, without another word, the man turned and walked out. The bell rang again, sharp and final. Maya stood frozen. She could not believe it was over. The biker exhaled slowly, glancing at the door. "He will not be back. But if he is, we will be." It sounded less like a promise and more like a guarantee. The cafe erupted with whispers once the man was gone. Some customers applauded softly, others murmured disbelief. Maya's knees almost gave out. She leaned against the counter, her eyes wet with relief. The biker handed her a napkin. "You are safe now." She took it, whispering, "I do not know how to thank you." He smiled faintly. "You already did. You trusted the right people." She looked at him, surprised. "I did not know who you were. I just hoped that someone would care," he finished for her. "And you were right." Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds. The reflection on the cafe window shifted, washing away the dark imprint of where the stalker had stood. For the first time in weeks, Maya felt she could breathe again. But she had no idea that the story was not finished yet, because when the bikers left that afternoon, they left with more than a video. They left with a plan. The next morning, the cafe looked the same, sunlight pouring in, coffee brewing, familiar faces returning for breakfast. Yet to Maya, everything felt new. She had slept for the first time in days without fear. The memory of the biker's calm words still echoed in her head. "You are safe now." But part of her wondered if he truly was gone. Stalkers rarely disappear so easily. Fear has a way of lingering even when danger does not. She opened the cafe early, humming softly as she wiped the tables. Around 8, the familiar rumble of motorcycle engines rolled down the street again. She froze, until she saw the same 3 bikes pull up outside. Her lips curved into a small, relieved smile. They entered the cafe, sunlight flashing off their helmets. The older biker walked in first, nodding at her like an old friend. "Morning," he said simply. She smiled shyly. "Morning. Coffee. Always." He took the same seat as before, his friends laughing quietly as they joined him. When she brought their cups over, he looked up. "He came back last night," he said softly, almost like an afterthought. Her heart skipped. "What?" He nodded. "Not here. Near your building. We followed him. Wanted to be sure." Her breath caught. "How did you?" He raised a hand. "You mentioned where you got off the bus. We stayed nearby for a while." He was waiting. "We recorded him again." Her eyes widened. "What did you do?" He took a slow sip of his coffee, as if measuring his words. "We did not confront him. We called the police. Showed them both videos. Your name is clear." The officer said he would file an official report this time. For a moment, she could not speak. Gratitude, shock, relief, it all collided at once. You did that for me." He smiled faintly. "No one should live in fear, Maya. Not if someone can help it." The way he said her name startled her. Not intrusive, but protective, like someone who had earned the right to use it. "Thank you," she whispered, her eyes glistening. "You have no idea what this means." He looked away, humble. "I think I do." As the morning went on, more customers came in, unaware of the story unfolding quietly between them. But to Maya, this cafe no longer felt like a cage. It felt like a place where her fear had been seen and answered. The stalker was arrested later that day. The police called her in to confirm the statement, and when she saw the video evidence, clear, undeniable, she felt something break inside her. Not fear this time. The weight of survival lifting. When she returned to the cafe, The bikers were gone. Only a small envelope sat on the counter, with her name written in neat block letters. Inside was a note. You did nothing wrong. Never be ashamed of asking for help. Courage is not loud. Sometimes it whispers. Take care of yourself. J. She folded it gently and kept it in her apron pocket, where she would touch it every time she felt her courage falter. Days turned into weeks. Life began to return to its gentle rhythm. But something inside Maya had changed. She spoke more confidently now, stood taller, looked people in the eye. Fear had once made her small. Now, kindness had made her strong. Then, one Saturday afternoon, as she was wiping down the counter, the bell above the door rang again. She turned, and there he was, not the stalker, but the biker. Alone this time. His jacket was cleaner, his beard trimmed, but his eyes held the same calm strength she remembered. She smiled instinctively. You came back. He nodded. Passing through town again. Thought I would see how you were doing. I am good, she said, the word carrying more meaning than it ever had before. Really good. He smiled. That is what I wanted to hear. They talked for a few minutes. About work, her mother's health, his travels. He was quiet but attentive, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. When he finally stood to leave, she hesitated. Can I ask you something? She said. He turned, curious. Why did you help me? You did not even know me. He thought for a long second before answering. Because once, someone helped my sister when I could not. Her throat tightened. Your sister? He nodded. She was followed after work. Scared to tell anyone. A stranger stepped in. That was years ago. I promised myself I would do the same if I ever had the chance. The silence between them felt full, not awkward, but heavy with meaning. Maya swallowed. You kept that promise. He smiled, faintly. Maybe now you will too, for someone else. And with that, he left. The sound of his motorcycle faded down the road, but the echo of his words stayed. That evening, Maya closed the cafe and walked to the bus stop. For the first time in months, she did not check behind her. The world felt open again, safe again. As she sat on the bench, watching the sunset melt over the street, she saw a young girl nearby, maybe 16, waiting for her own bus, nervously checking her phone. A man across the street was staring a little too long. Maya noticed instantly. The girl's discomfort. The same fear she had once felt. She hesitated for only a moment before walking over and sitting beside her. Hey, she said softly. You waiting for the 5:15 too? The girl nodded, relieved to have company. The man looked away. In that small act, the circle closed. The whisper of courage had passed on. Sometimes heroes do not wear uniforms or capes. Sometimes they just show up at the right moment, in leather jackets, carrying stories of their own pain turned into protection. And sometimes, the people they save become protectors themselves. So the next time you see someone struggling, someone afraid, remember this. The smallest act of courage can change everything. Because what the biker did that day did not just protect a waitress. It restored something the world keeps losing. Simple, human decency. And that is what truly shocked everyone.